Hi, Juliana. It's really great to speak to you today. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I mean, we believe in our industry, China will be a fundamental part of innovation in the future. And so we decided to expand our research and development presence in the country so we can better tap into this innovation, better connect with the local ecosystem. We have 2 R&D sites in Europe. We have 2 in the US, one in Boston and one near Washington. And now we will have 2 in China, one in Shanghai and this new one that we are establishing in Beijing.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the distribution of those strategic global R&D centers. This will make for 6, as you said, 2 in the U.S. and now 2 in China. It comes at a time when the Trump administration is trying to lure companies like yours to invest more in the U.S. Are you concerned at all about any political backlash from Washington for opting to invest more in China rather than the U.S.?
Well, we are very committed to the United States. We have 2 very large research and development centers in the U.S., as I said. We're building a new site in Kendall Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts. We have 18,000 employees in the U.S. We have a large number of manufacturing sites. So as you can see, our commitment to the United States is very, very strong. But as an industry, as a company, we have to tap into innovation in our industry where it is, so we can actually fulfill our mission, which is to bring as many innovative medicines to patients as possible.
China has been, it is a big market for you, but it's also been a challenging market over the last year. You've faced investigations from the Chinese government into your executives, into your business activity in the country. To what extent will investing in China, like you have announced today, improve relations within China, accelerate regulatory approvals, and the like?
I have to say the 2 are not connected at all, actually. We have been committed to investing in China for a long time, Juliana. In the last couple of years, we've invested $10 billion in more than 10 R&D partnerships with local biotech companies. Companies like ours, the size of our company means that we will face headwinds from time to time and challenges and issues. And of course, we regret having to go through a challenging period like this, but it is not related at all to our investment in Beijing. The 2 are totally separate. And this project in Beijing started in our minds, in our plans, much earlier than the recent challenge we're facing.
How is your business doing in China? And can you give us any further color since the earnings update on how market share is progressing and what your thoughts are for the year ahead?
Yeah, as you could see from last year's release, we actually reached more than $6 billion in sales last year. We grew by 11% in China. We so far see a good start of the year. And we are very much on track. So we so far, are very optimistic with the future of our company in China, both from an R&D viewpoint, of course, but also from a commercial viewpoint. China, like many countries around the world, is facing pricing pressures that are true also in Europe and elsewhere in the United States, as you know very well. But apart from this, we are very much on track. We have a very dedicated team. Everybody is on board and working hard to deliver for patients and for the company.
President Xi is expected to host his flagship China Development Forum in Beijing in the coming days. I assume, being in Beijing now, you will attend this summit. Is that right?
Well, I'm actually in Beijing today for, of course, this announcement, but also for the CDF, the China Development Forum. I'm actually going to the Boao Forum later next week, and then coming back to Beijing. And if indeed such a meeting happens, I will be delighted to contribute and participate.
What has the message been, based on your interactions with the Chinese government, toward foreign investment into the country?
Well, our commitment to China, our message is our commitment to China is strong, has always been. And what we would like to see around the world is more collaboration. So we want to see more open markets, more collaborations between China and other countries around the world to resolve some of the most pressing issues the world is facing: diseases, climate change, social issues, and we believe all those issues can be addressed through science, technology, collaboration. And so the message is open the markets, opens China to collaboration with scientists around the world so we can resolve some of these pressing issues the world is facing.
Well, China is just a piece of the AstraZeneca story, and I think investors heading into 2025 are poised for a potentially big and transformative year for AstraZeneca, a major year, a major 18 months ahead when it comes to the pipeline. How confident are you in your late-stage pipeline at the moment?
Yes, we are so far, so far so good this year. The readouts, the clinical readouts we have experienced have been positive. There are many more to come and very important ones to come through the year. So, of course, we are confident, but we don't know. That's the name of the game in our industry. You run clinical trials to know answers to clinical questions. So we keep our fingers crossed. The one thing I will add is we are extremely committed to the United States. As I said, we recently announced more than $3 billion investment in the U.S. in R&D, but also manufacturing. In fact, we are going to increase this. We are expanding our investment in the U.S. Our company is growing rapidly. Last year, we grew by 20%. And we have to support this growth with further investments in both R&D, but also manufacturing. And that goes to mostly, of course, our major markets, the U.S. Being the biggest market for us.
The Trump administration hasn't revealed too much detail around the prescription drug pricing plans this time around for Trump 2.0. In the past, the Trump administration had supported policies aimed at cutting costs. Any indication from your side on what we might hear from Washington on this front in the coming months?
Well, there is already a program of cost reduction or price reduction underway. That's called the Medicare renegotiation as part of the IRA, as you probably know. And that is, of course, putting pressure on prices in our industry for some products and some very important products for us. And we also have the renegotiation of price at the end of 9-year period for small molecules from the time of launch, or 12, 13 years for large molecules. So there are already a number of mechanisms that are playing into price reductions. And some of our net prices after rebates in the U.S. are not much higher than Europe. So will there be more coming? Possibly, but every geography, every country in the world, as you probably know, is under pressure to manage costs. So we suddenly are organizing ourselves so we deliver value for patients, demonstrate the value of our products, but also deal with potential price pressures.
You've made tremendous progress in oncology, which has clearly been a key growth pillar for AstraZeneca. Just last week, you announced a deal to acquire ESO Biotech, a biotech company looking at cell therapy. On a long-term view, is oncology going to remain at the center of the Astra story?
Absolutely. The exciting part of our industry these days is that there's an enormous amount of new technologies that are emerging. Of course, in the United States, but also in China. And those technologies, they range across what we call antibody-drug conjugates, cell therapy, radioligands, many other technologies, gene therapy for other diseases. Many technologies that will, we believe, help us resolve some of the most difficult challenges from a medical viewpoint. In particular, I believe we have line of sight now to see the potential cure for some cancers over the next 5 to 10 years, either total cure or remissions, durable remissions. So those technologies are very exciting, and the challenge is, of course, to harness very well and combine them very well. And this recent acquisition we made in ESO Biotech will enable us to deliver cell therapy in what we call in vivo delivery, which means instead of taking the cells from the patients, engineering them and re-injecting them, which is costly and time-consuming, we can get the patient to produce these cells, specific cells, by themselves in the body. So that will make the cell therapy much more accessible and democratize the use of cell therapy to many, many patients around the world.
Well, from a human perspective, pretty incredible to think about that breakthrough and that change. Pascal, appreciate you joining us all the way from Beijing on the back of this major R&D announcement. Pascal Soriot, CEO of AstraZeneca.